My 30F wife, once a devoted mom, has become distant, leaving me to juggle kids and chores alone. When I stumbled upon her detailed plan for a threesome, she claimed it was just girl talk. Yet she admits, I wouldn't care if you cheated. What now? I understand that Reddit can be toxic, but I am seeking some honest feedback that is neither extreme nor hyperbolic if possible. Allow me to provide some background information. This is a rant and I apologize if it is difficult to follow. I am not blameless. My wife has labeled me as emotionally unavailable at times, and when I reflect on it, I can recall instances where I may have appeared that way. However, these issues could have been discussed or resolved. My wife and I have been married for 7 years. Our marriage has had its ups and downs, but for the most part, things have been positive. We have two children who are in middle school or younger. I am 35 years old and she is 30. Our relationship feels essentially dead. I believe I understand what I need to do, but I am struggling to accept it. A little over a year ago, my wife expressed her concerns about our marriage. She mentioned that she became a mother at a young age and never had the opportunity to discover herself. She pointed out that we do not share many interests and that our relationship often feels transactional. She was right about all of these points. Additionally, she expressed how it hurt her when I mentioned that I wanted a vasectomy because the thought of having more children and making our home more unstable hindered my ability to be intimate with her. She agreed to the vasectomy but did not convey any of her feelings at that time. She was okay with it and was dealing with her own issues related to an ablation and the looming possibility of requiring a hysterectomy due to health concerns. I believed this decision was mutually advantageous, as I could undergo the vasectomy and spare her from another procedure or any type of tubal ligation. Ultimately, she did require the hysterectomy. It became unavoidable. Since that time, she has been distant with me. Initially, the distance grew slowly, but it has now escalated to the point where we sleep in separate rooms. We do not spend time together outside of handling household responsibilities, and even that has progressed to the point where I am doing the majority of the work. I cook dinner for the children, assist with homework, supervise practices, etc. during most weekday afternoons. Recently, while attempting to find the password for our internet account, I discovered that she had a planner with all of the passwords listed. When I opened the planner, I found a page or two over that contained a detailed plan for a threesome involving her, her friend, and an unidentified man. The plan was very specific, including items such as the need for Plan B and details of the participants' interests, such as choking and hair pulling, essentially a list of do's and don'ts for each of them. Some of the things she has never even discussed with me. It even included a scenario detailing how they would initiate the act and stay at this person's house. Reading that was shocking for me. She could very well just be fabricating a random scenario that never had any real chance of occurring, but what if it did? When I confronted her about it, she told me that it was something they discussed a long time ago but did not pursue. She insisted it was a scenario that many friends talk about sometimes, which I find hard to believe. This goes beyond mere girl talk to me. You are really creating a plan to engage with another man. Following this confrontation, she conveyed that she is happy with her life at present. She stated that she is focusing on her career and raising our children and family and is content with our situation, and that she would not pursue someone else without discussing it with me first or informing me of her interest in another person. However, she has no desire to be romantically involved with me, and she believes that it cannot be fixed. She mentioned that she may one day decide she is ready to be emotionally available for someone again, but if that happens, she would be honest with me rather than resorting to infidelity, whether that takes the form of divorce or an open marriage. I asked her if the roles were reversed, would she be okay with me planning threesomes with others, and she replied, "Honestly, if I found out you were having sex with someone else, I'm not even sure I would care." This situation is incredibly frustrating. My life is quite isolated. I do go to the gym, have sports circles with my children's friends and their parents, and so forth, but I do not have a real social life outside of that, and my busy schedule leaves little opportunity for it. Her job puts her in social situations, and she has actual friends at work. They attend breweries for bingo nights, have viewing parties for television shows, etc. I feel trapped in a marriage where I will inevitably be waiting for her to act on an impulse to be with someone else, and then be faced with an ultimatum. The disturbing aspect is that she sounds sincere when she claims she is fine with the current arrangement. She says that she experienced the same emotions I am feeling now, but she has moved past them and is content. It feels as though she has become emotionally numb or has given up on us. There are no tears, no strong emotions. To be honest, she sounds hollow. It's simply, this is how it is, and I have some questions to consider. When will she cease to be okay? Am I truly okay with this? I don't believe so. What does divorce entail with two children involved? Is the stress of this situation silently harming me and making it harder to be a good and stable father? Many marriages today exist under open relationships for financial reasons. Would I consider this for us? I am uncertain. I think jealousy might consume me. I would be lying if I said I am not hurt. I recognize that I cannot share every detail of my life here. There is much you do not know, and I do not want anyone to assume I am a perfect husband. I am not. However, I do work, help with the children more than most men, perform household chores, grocery shop, etc. I believe it is time for an honest conversation with myself. I am essentially leading a single life as a married man in order to maintain stability for my children and our household. If you have made it to the end, I appreciate you reading my thoughts. I do not have anyone to confide in about this situation. I have tried to present myself as the antagonist to rationalize her actions, but the more I reflect on our history, the more I feel she has misrepresented our relationship. When it was good, it was truly good, then one day it feels like a switch flipped and she transformed into a different person. I also want to be fair, but I am curious whether the hysterectomy and the post-operative hormonal medications are affecting her thoughts. I cannot suggest this to her because that would be unfair. She purchases a significant amount of underwear, bras, clothing, etc., which she previously never did. She spends considerably more on cosmetic products for aging and is buying more revealing clothing. She essentially acts younger now at 30 than she did when we were married at 23. It is a young age to get married, but she wanted it. Perhaps she rushed into it and is now feeling regret. It cannot help that all her friends are single. I just have so many thoughts. Again, thank you for reading my ramblings. I needed to express these thoughts somewhere. Story 2. My biodad hasn't wanted anything to do with me since I was 18. After years of struggles, I'm now 7 years sober and ready for a real relationship, but he'd rather invite my brother over than check in on me. You're still not worth the effort. Should I cut him off for good? So I, 25-year-old female, have had little to no relationship with my biological father for the past approximately 7 years, essentially since I turned 18. Now, I am seriously considering cutting off all contact completely because I am weary of remaining in limbo. However, I am uncertain if I am making the right decision. Background. I have dealt with problematic mental health issues since I was young, originating from being abused by my neighbor. To my knowledge, neither of my parents was aware of the abuse. They just knew that I was not quite right. I will not lie, I was an absolute nightmare. If I did not get my way, I would cry, scream, and throw tantrums that lasted well into my teenage years. Not getting my way could be something as minor as not having music playing at night or having my light turned off. I also exhibited more significant behavioral issues, such as frequently attempting to and often successfully escape school and behaving aggressively. My parents made multiple attempts to help me, but without knowledge of the abuse, in fact, I did not even fully comprehend what had happened until much later in life. Those efforts went nowhere. As I grew older, my behavior worsened. I would lash out over the slightest issues, with one of my worst episodes being an incident involving a baseball bat and my stepmother when I was 17. No one was injured. This ultimately led to my biological father kicking me out just 1 week after my graduation. He gave me $1,000, which I suspect was the college fund he had never contributed to and had likely withdrawn money from, and I moved into an apartment by myself. This is where things truly began to deteriorate for me. I fell into drugs and alcohol, and 6 months later I found myself in rehabilitation. After completing rehab, I spent the following year homeless and eventually moved to another state after being expelled from various shelters. In the end, I became involved in a relationship with a man that lasted 4 years. At least I was no longer homeless. Throughout this entire period, my contact with my biological father was minimal. He would respond if I texted him, but he almost never initiated contact. I kept telling myself that he could not bear to see me struggling, which is why he distanced himself. After starting a relationship with my former partner, I saw him maybe twice a year, but I reasoned that he was busy. My stepmother, who had chosen to cease contact after the incident with the bat, understandably, eventually forgave me. Things appeared to be improving, and it seemed my biological father would spend time with me again. However, then COVID-19 hit and any plans for reconciliation came to a halt. He informed me that he and my stepmother were being especially cautious. Of course, I understood, but I later discovered that I was the only person he was being cautious around. When I eventually separated from my ex, my biological father expressed his hatred for him. That was fine. It explained his distance, as everyone in my family disliked my ex. Then when I moved 14 hours away, I could understandably attribute the lack of visits to the distance. It was during my time living in another state that I began to acknowledge the one-sided nature of my relationship with my father. Gradually, I stopped reaching out, hoping he might notice and contact me himself. That never occurred except on my birthday and Christmas, both occasions for which I received only a text, and he was too busy for a phone call. During this time, his workplace published an article about him. He mentioned his dogs by name, my brother when asked about his favorite video game, and even his stepdaughter's children. However, there was not a single mention of me, despite him discussing his favorite television shows that were always ours to watch together. This was the moment I began to realize that my biological father did not truly care about me. No. I moved back to my hometown at the beginning of February. As soon as I arrived, I texted my father to inform him and invited him to dinner at my home. He seemed enthusiastic, and I thought that at last I would have a relationship with my biological father once more, and then nothing. I went to visit him at his workplace, and his employees appeared surprised to learn he had a fourth daughter. I am his only daughter. His wife has 3 girls, 2 of whom do not even like my father. I shared some details about the extreme difficulties we were facing with our rental property. We had no water for approximately 18 days and no power for 3 or 4 days following that. He simply replied, "Oh, that sucks." There was no offer of assistance of any kind, not that we really needed it, as my mother and stepfather, whom I call my dad, were taking care of us. That was over a month ago, and since then he has not reached out even once. As far as he knows, we still do not have a livable home. Keep in mind that he drives past my house every day on his way to work and lives only about 10 minutes away. The final straw for me, however, was when I visited my brother who lives 3 hours away. He casually mentioned my biological father several times, indicating that they communicate frequently and that my biological father even invited him to visit and stay at his home. I have not set foot in my biological father's house since 2018. Now I realize it is just me that he does not want to associate with. He is certainly capable of being a good father. I simply am not worth the effort to him. I have had enough. I am tired of this gray area in which he keeps me. If he does not want me around, if I am too much trouble, that is fine. It is his loss if he does not even give me the chance to demonstrate how far I have come with my mental health. I am not the same troubled child he expelled at 18. I have made remarkable progress. I have been sober for 7 years and have never even been tempted to relapse. Even my stepfather, who endured the worst of my behavior directed at him, has forgiven me and let me back into his life. My biological father simply does not seem to desire me. Therefore, I have made a decision. My birthday is next month, 5 days before his. I am going to organize a birthday event and invite him, giving him the opportunity to recognize me for who I am now, not who I was. And if he does not want to, then I am finished because I deserve a father who wants me. I have a truly wonderful dad, even if he is not my biological father. My mother and stepfather will always be there for me, and that is all I need. Do not misunderstand me. I yearn for a relationship with my biological father. Despite our difficulties, we shared a genuinely good relationship when I was younger. I was a daddy's girl 100%, and he always referred to me as his little buddy. I just wish he would love me again as he once did. I do not comprehend how he could completely erase me from his heart. And before you inquire, no, I have never told him how much he is hurting me. If he cannot realize that essentially abandoning me will cause me pain, then what is the point? He will not change. I know him too well. My birthday is my last glimmer of hope, but deep down I know what is going to happen. So I suppose that leads me to my question, what do you all think? How should I handle this? Story 3. My 22M partner's mother meddles in our lives, saying, "Family comes first, partners last." After 3 years together, her constant guilt trips and passive-aggressive digs make me feel inadequate. How do I reclaim our relationship without starting a war? Hello, I am a 21-year-old female, and my partner is a 22-year-old male. We are currently living together and have been in a relationship for almost 3 years. I would like to seek some advice and gain a better understanding of the situation I am facing, as I am feeling uncertain. I am currently dealing with an issue involving my partner's mother, from whom I have gathered that she may be enmeshed with him. My partner and I have lived together since the first year of our relationship because he was expected to enlist the following year and wanted us to experience the time together as a couple. We have been doing better than ever up until now, although we have encountered some ups and downs since he joined the military. Nonetheless, we are living together again. We were provided with a house close to his workplace, which is also less than an hour away from his mother's home. Now, I would greatly appreciate your thoughts on this matter. I am fully aware of his background and family dynamics as we have discussed them together. He believes that his mother may have been enmeshed with him since childhood. She is a single parent, did not have a good marriage, and has always relied on him. He was essentially considered the golden child among his siblings. He is in the middle. He is generous, kind, and rarely says no to people, especially his family. During our first year together, we both lived in another state. His mother was not as problematic initially. She would text occasionally, which is typical communication from parents when their children are far away. I did not have much contact with her back then because I assumed she did not like me from the first time my partner introduced me to his family. This assumption was based on her telling my partner not to do romantic things for me, such as bringing me flowers or picking me up when I arrived at the airport after being in a long-distance relationship for a month. She even referred to me as a gold digger during that initial conversation, a judgment apparently based on my ethnicity. When I first met her, she did not exude a welcoming presence. She had her back turned towards me during our initial encounter and did not acknowledge my presence. She appeared upset. Fast forward to the present. I discovered that my partner had been sending money to his family, and his decisions seemed to require her approval. She has always had a say in his thoughts. 2 years into the relationship, we still remained distant from her. We met her more frequently for occasions and visits, but she continued to maintain her defenses. This is when things became more challenging. I began to notice her passive-aggressive behavior towards me, which made me feel as though I was not good enough for her son. She was pleasant in front of him, but different behind closed doors. I struggled to address this issue with my partner since he had previously sided with her. We faced numerous problems as a result. In his final weeks before enlisting, we decided to spend that time at his mother's home, which I found bearable at first. However, she began to voice her opinions on our relationship dynamics, such as interrupting our intimate moments and inviting herself into our room whenever she saw us cuddling. She became upset about any shared decisions, as one would expect from a normal couple. One time, when she wanted to go out for drinks with friends, she invited both of us. We ultimately decided to decline, wanting to spend time with his younger siblings at her house since he was preparing to enlist. After he left for military service, she became more clingy than ever. She would text him daily, advising him to use protection and warning him not to get me pregnant. We both do not want children anytime soon, insisting that family comes first and that partners are secondary. Please tell me this is not normal. I could provide numerous examples, but I worry it would become too long. When we were able to visit him following his march out, she was visibly upset by my presence. She brought the entire family with her and expected him to cater to them. Since then, her passive-aggressive attitude towards me has intensified. She has refused to give me any of my partner's formal military photos, of which there are approximately 100, instructing him to collect them from her home. This pattern of behavior has persisted and is incredibly stressful and exhausting, especially now that we are living closer to her. I had hoped we would be free from this dynamic since we have a home together, but that is not the case. She always seems to have plans each week and insists on visiting him along with her children. She makes him feel guilty when he declines her invitations. My partner is attempting to set boundaries with her. However, her incessant texting has become so overwhelming that he is growing weary of it. She once texted him, expressing that she felt ignored because he had not replied. Tell me this isn't unusual. There is another occasion coming up this week, and my partner has informed her that he will not attend as he simply wishes to rest. She called him, acting dramatically, claiming that he is avoiding them and that the family will be disappointed by his absence. She made several negative comments about me and my family. It felt completely out of the blue. This woman has spoken poorly about me to her children and other family members. On one occasion, she gathered everyone and guilt-tripped us for not wanting guests over shortly after we moved. I find it difficult to continue writing because it frustrates me so much. I genuinely do not understand any of it. In summary, my partner's mother is causing significant stress in our relationship.